this just leads me to introduce Neil, who's come to share his experience, strength and hope.
Thanks, Lewis. Oh. Thanks, Tim, for asking me to share. You know, I've known about this for about, 2 months at least now. And I was all right up until about 5 minutes ago. And my heart started to beat quite a bit faster. You know, I know that's some self-centered fear, and, you know, everything within me doesn't want to share this. But, you know, I know that I have to do this, you know. And to tell you guys, you know, is there any newcomers here tonight? Anyone sort of like fresh in the door? You know, because that's who I'd like to talk to, you know, or those struggling. You know, there is a way out, and you don't have to use or drink ever again. You know, it's a complete solution in CA and a 12-step program. Okay. I really don't want to go into my drinking and using, but I know, you know, once I kind of start going into the problem, you know, I really struggle getting out of it. You know, but I'll give it a go. You know, get a bit of identification first. You know, kind of, as a child, you know, I was quite uncomfortable. You know, I'd say quite odd even. You know, I felt quite alone most of the time, and I really struggled to kind of make friends and build relationships. You know, I carried that into my school years. You know, I made friends. You know, I got bored with friends. I moved on to other people. You know, really quite awkward in social situations. You know, thank God for, you know, alcohol. You know, and that trying to kind of change the way I feel, and I could begin to like kind of build some kind of relationships. You know, but the truth is, you know, that didn't last long. You know, because I was what's said, you know, disgustingly antisocial after some time. You know, and I had the normal progression, which was, you know, from drink. You know, it started off with actually, you know, I used to meet up with friends, and we'd bend over and we'd kind of breathe in, breathe out, like, yeah, and we'd kind of stand up and someone would push us in the chest. I can't remember what it was called now, like, and I'd kind of fall down and kind of shake around a little bit, and kind of, and I like that, and I done it again, you know, and it changed the way I felt, you know, and that kind of progressed, you know. Then it was kind of petrol to alcohol, and, you know, everything, you know, like to cannabis, you know, and then kind of my solution became amphetamine, you know, and the truth is that didn't work for long, you know. I kind of, you know, life and soul of the party, you know, I took speed, you know, I talked a lot, and people told me to shut up a lot, you know, after, like, I don't know, a few months, you know, I spent a lot of time alone on amphetamine doing things I shouldn't have been doing. You know, it was quite a painful place, you know. Then quite lonely. The fun had quickly gone out of it. Then I kind of moved on to ecstasy. And believe it or not, the fun didn't last long with amphetamine, but I continued to take it, you know, for like 12 or 13 years. You know, kind of ended up like 6.5 stone, you know, not looking too clever. And then came, you know, crime. You know, I wasn't a master criminal. You know, mostly it was kind of shoplifting or stealing off my family. You know, don't leave your handbag alone with Neil in the room. You know, because it'd be gone. It was a sad existence, you know. I think, you know, the fun of drugs. I think the last 20 years, and I was using up until I was like 42, 43. You know, the last 20 years were absolute misery. You know, after 12 years of amphetamine, you know, I managed to stop that. You know, I managed to get into a relationship. You know, I kind of had had two girls, you know, absolutely love them dearly, but you know what, they got in the way and were using, and I just stepped over them, you know, because I just needed to use, man. I just could not stop, you know, or, you know, I'd have brief moments of stopping, you know, and it just couldn't stay that way, and I'd start again. You know, I'd have times of building up, you know, a career, you know, and getting a little bit of money behind me, but then, you know, that wouldn't last long, man. I'll kind of bring it all down, you know, to use. You know, these two girls I had, you know, you know, as much as I loved them dearly, you know, I kind of take ownership, man. I probably had something to do with the way they are today, you know. Kind of, one of them's like anorexic, and the other one's kind of, the other one's amazing, but you know, I hadn't spoken to her for 17 years, you know, up until like about 3-4 weeks ago. It kind of absolutely amazingly kind of blew me away, and then she kind of tells me, you know, over the last 4 years she's tried to commit suicide 3 times, you know. Kind of absolutely, I didn't know what to say. All I could say was, you know, I'm here and I'll listen, you know. So going back a bit, you know, kind of, I stepped over them, you know. I pushed everyone away, you know. On my own, I didn't really have any relationships, any close friends, you know. All I was out for really was myself, and kind of do anything I had to do to get alcohol or drugs inside of me. You know, it ended up like with prison sentences, you know, like the revolving door, homelessness, you know, and then kind of back into shoplifting and crime and back in prison again, you know, with them sweet promises that I'll never do it again, and I couldn't keep it. I couldn't keep them promises. Truth is, my life was a mess, you know. I kind of ended up about the age of 32, it'd be a good idea to start taking heroin, and then quickly, you know, on crack cocaine, and both of them snowballing those drugs, and you know, and you know, for a while they were my solution, and it worked, and I didn't kind of feel the kind of guilt, shame and remorse of pushing my family away and being a worthless, useless dad, you know. It kind of pushed them feelings away. Same prison, homelessness, and then what happened was, you know, consequences of my using, they still didn't help for me to stop. Didn't matter about my consequences, you know. I carried on using, but I end up kind of, you know, a stab wound in the stomach, and one slicing my aorta out, and you know, kind of, I've got 15-20 minutes to live, you know, and I'm still here, and it says that I'm here for a reason. You know, that I believe was kind of beginning of my surrender. I ended up kind of duty of care, like the hospital had to take care of me and find me somewhere to live. And what they'd done, they said, you know, they've got me a flat. They worked with the council, and they said, look, you know, there's this place you can move into, and it was on the same street as where I got stabbed. You know, even I knew that wasn't a great idea. You know, and I kind of, what I chose to do was kind of move to the nearest city, and that was Oxford, and kind of asked my dad to drop me outside a night shelter. You know, he didn't want to do that, you know, but I told him it'd be okay. You know, experience with me, nothing was ever okay. You know, but something changed within me. You know, I started to work with street services. You know, I kind of, you know, beginning of surrender, I started to have some willingness, you know, to turn up for groups I had to turn up for, and you know, eventually I got myself into a detox unit. But still experiencing the absolute powerlessness, you know, can't stop. And you know, after a couple of weeks, I said, you know, I'm a senior peer in this detox unit, and they started to trust me to go out with other peers that were just coming in, you know, take them to doctors. But this one particular time, I remember, you know, I get outside the gates with this guy, and I'm supposed to be taking him to the doctors, and he says, Neil, you know, we're not going to the doctors. I said, okay. I said, where are we going? He said, we're going to my mum's. You know, so we went to his mum's, and he kind of bullied her into giving him some money, and you know, we end up in a crack house. You know, blessed man, we got home for tea. You know, I kind of believed at that time didn't have a clue what was going on, but they did. You know, they knew about guys like us. You know, because they'd been there before, and it brought the whole house down. You know, we kind of all got together, and we had to get some honesty come out of us. You know, and I remember one guy saying, you know, he was involved in it, and he goes, you know, say it whatever you like, but don't bring me in on it. You know, because he was involved as well. You know, he ended up being the only one that got kicked out, and the only reason I didn't is because I was close to the end of my time at the detox unit and going into a treatment. You know, by the skin of my teeth. So my dad. So I'm going to this treatment centre in Bournemouth now, and so my dad picks me up, and we're on the way. You know, and I swear I could smell alcohol in his breath. I swear I could, and I believed, you know, it's my thinking, that we was going to stop halfway, and we was going to have that last drink, you know, father and son, you know, goodbye, you know, we've done well, you know. It didn't happen, you know. It took me all the way to the treatment centre. So we get to the treatment centre, and you know, we get to the treatment centre, and you know, it's just, I believe, you know, God put this person in my life for a reason. You know, this guy that I'd met in Oxford, you know, we got quite close, and he kind of struggled like me, couldn't stop using, you know, and he'd gone off, and I didn't know where he went. He said he was going off to get clean, and I didn't have a clue where he'd gone. So I opened the boot up of my dad's car, and I grabbed the first piece of my belongings, and I passed it to what I thought was going to be my dad, and it wasn't. It was my friend, man. It was Billy, like, and he just like said, how are you, Neil? He said, good to see you. Like, and he kind of showed me the way, you know. He was just in aftercare in there, and he was just come and visit me in there when he could, you know. And he seemed to be doing really well, you know. Anyway, I'm getting this treatment centre, and you know, it was scary, you know. They're all trying to hug me. You know, get off. I'm feeling quite self-centred, quite insecure, and you know, and we're all sat round in this, you know, in the morning, we're all sat round like this, yeah, and people are passing, you know, like my name's Rob, I'm an addict, and say a little speech or whatever they're saying, and reading on the board, and you know, it'd be coming round to me, and I'd be like, you know, what am I going to say, kind of thing, like, you know, and something came in, like, just say what's in front of you. Like, you know, it got easier quite quickly, you know, a bit of nice food inside me, you know, my ego's kind of reasserted itself, and, you know, I'm ironing my jeans and everything, looking really good to go in the treatment centre in the morning, you know, I'm kind of, do you know what, I turned those hugs into cuddles. That kind of behaviour, you know, I wasn't listening to what they're telling me, you know, I'm not kind of just, Neil's doing it his way already, you know, and, you know, that kind of behaviour, kind of, you know. So this girl shows up in the treatment centre, and they've gone, right, okay, Neil, you know, we want you to be her buddy. I thought, you know, she's in the same house as me, you know. I thought, they've seen something I haven't. And they thought I'd quite, you know, senior PO already, you know. I thought, I've only been in there a couple of weeks, and you know, I want you to show her the way, and you know. But what they would, you know, they asked me to be a buddy, but they meant the whole house as well. But I kind of took it personally, and you know, I went to introduce myself to her in the garden, and I shook her hand. You know, as I shook her hand, you know, this feeling I've never experienced. You know, I got this kind of electric shock going straight through me, and I thought, oh no, I'm in trouble. You know, and I was, you know, I couldn't keep my eyes off her. You know, it went from bad to worse, you know, and when it didn't go my way, it was even more painful. You know, got into a kind of relationship with her, but most of the time it didn't go my way, and you know, from that kind of happy person that at first went into that treatment centre, I've never been so miserable in all my life, you know, apart from when I was in addiction, and you know, and I couldn't tell anyone the truth. You know, I'd kind of make out that I was going to tell the counsellors about it, like, you know, just playing games with her, and I couldn't, and in the end I'd done something kind of related, and they asked me to go. You know, they wouldn't even let me say goodbye to my friends. You know, they just wanted me straight out of there. You know, and now I'm in Boscombe, I'm homeless, and I remember what they said. You know, and what I heard in the meetings was, you know, kind of lack of power was my dilemma. You know, and I thought, I ain't going to use again. You know, but I go to the post office and there's £100 in the post office. You know, and I still said I ain't going to use. You know, the first guy I bumped into. You know, I thought, yes, he's got a Scouse accent, man. I'm in. Man, you know what that guy done for me? He gave me a number for somewhere to live. You know, I thought, what? So I ended up with somewhere to live, and what? Merciless. You know, I'm in a shared room, and this guy in a place in Boscombe, and this guy says to me, he goes, what you want to do, he says, is don't go for your drug of choice. He said, have a drink. I said, yeah. You know, my eyes opened up, my ears opened up, and I said, what, so I'll be okay? And he said, yeah. He said, just have a drink, man. I said, okay. I said, can he get us 4 cans of special brew? But no problem. So off he went. I give him some money, and you know, reluctantly I shared half of him. You know, and by the end of the week, I'm cracking heroin again. You know, how did that happen? You know, I kind of understand it, man. You know, once I start, I can't stop, and I don't know where it's going to go. You know, a couple of weeks down the line, man, and I kind of get drug tested in there, you know, and I kind of backed up against the wall. I get honest, you know, and he said, okay, he said, this is how we'll help you, man. You know, we'll give you a week and you've got to leave. You know, now I'm homeless in Boscombe, you know, and it's not looking too good, you know. But what's happened is, you know, you guys, I've been introduced to the CA fellowship, and you guys don't forget about us, you know. You come and help us. You kind of bring us back in, and a particular guy kind of reached out to me. You know, it's coming. You know, the truth is, I wanted to die. You know, I didn't know no way out of this. You know, but it come to that place. You know, absolute desperation, kind of willing to do anything. You know, and this guy kind of befriended me outside, and you know, it's looking like it's tipping it down with rain. I'm going to be outside this night, and he said, do you fancy coming to a meeting? And I kind of questioned that, you know, what's the meeting going to do for me? You know, he went on and he went on, and in the end I just said, okay, I'm coming. You know, and off I went. You know, from that first bit of action, my life changed dramatically. You know, I remember on the way back from that meeting, and you know, I was so scared. You know, I'm going to be, you know, Beach is looking at the option for me, and he said, you know, on the way back, he said, do you want to come in? He's in the dry house. Do you want to come in for a cup of tea? You know, I felt some hope. You know, I went in there and I heard him go round knocking on doors, and he's kind of said, do you mind if Neil stops here tonight, man? And I just heard, yeah, Neil's cool, we can stop. I was kind of blown away by this friendship, you know, this love that I kind of, you know, you guys give us, you know, and, you know, from that, you know, kind of my life changed so much. You know, I found somewhere to live quite quickly. You know, I started doing what he asked me to do, and it started off with, you know, he was saying, come to 3 or 4 meetings a week. I was doing 7 or 8, sometimes 2 a day, and I know he was going to help set up, get there early, stay till late, you know, that kind of early stuff, get some numbers, you know, get a reading, all that stuff. I was so scared as well, but I didn't want to be the place I was at anymore, man. I'd had enough. You know, this guy looked as though he had it going on, man, and I wanted some of that. You know, that in itself, them kind of suggestions you give me, that, you know, I see now that wasn't enough, you know, but what it did do, it lifted my spirit, man, and he kind of see my willingness, and he begun to open this 12-step, this book with me, the AA big book, and, you know, he started to take me through the steps. You know, I had an absolutely awesome, uplifting experience going through them steps, you know, from, you know, I'll share a little bit, but writing my step 4 on paper, and then sharing it in step 5, and, you know, kind of that stuff that I was taking to my grave. You know, no way was I writing it on paper, no way. And that time came, and he said, is there anything else you want to share with me? Is there anything else you've left out? you know, and I shared this stuff with him, this stuff I was going to take to my grave. So I've never shared this stuff with anyone, and kind of, you know, I just felt kind of lifted in that moment, you know, albeit, you know, it's quite heavy for a few days, but, you know, I began to be able to look people in the eye, you know, and I continued. I made a promise to myself, I'm going to carry on with this, you know, and the life it's given me, and being able to help other addicts and other alcoholics, like, to live a life for freedom, you know, being able to take them through the steps, you know, but kind of this life it's amazing, you know. I get it, man, I have some bad days, man, that's just, I'm having a bad day, man, but this kind of, you know, I just can't believe, you know what, my family's come back in my life, you know, I believe now they can sleep at night, you know, they're not worrying where I am, you know, in September I'm getting married, you know, I've got one of my daughters back in my life, she's speaking to me, you know, the other one said, you know, we'll speak soon, you know, and my youngest is, you know, I asked if she'd be a bridesmaid at my wedding, and she said, yeah. She's going, when can I start looking for dresses? You know, this stuff is absolutely amazing. I've got a full-time job, you know, that I can sit in peace sometimes, you know, the thing is I can live life today, you know, all I ever wanted was kind of normal living, to live life, and I couldn't, and now I can, you know, and it's thanks to you guys, and for you guys showing me the way in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, you know. To any kind of new guys in here or just coming through the door, you know, there is a way out, man. That's an absolute solution, you know, complete solution. You never have to drink and use again. It's permanent, you know, a day at a time. You know, you know, kind of, you know, if you want what we've got, man, just jump on board. You know, thanks for letting me share, guys, and I'll leave it there.
Thanks.